Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator, where in today's video we are checking out WinWing's new EFIS panel for their FCU. We have both the left and right side. I already have the left installed, as you see here, and I'm going to show you guys the unboxing and installation for the right side so you can see the full unit, which is supposed to be a 1-to-1 scale to the real aircraft. So stick around guys, because there's a lot to talk about in this video. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkill's tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future releases that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below.
Overkill simulations, watch us as we fly.
All right, guys, so as we get into this, let's go ahead and start taking a look at this bad boy here. Get that camera to zoom in. There we go. It looks absolutely fantastic. Let's bring it on over here. So first, this is, again, a 1-to-1 scale to the real aircraft. So it makes it very, very nice as far as comfort and usability. All the switches and rotary have a very nice tactile feel. Although you can feel that they are plastic, you can feel that there's a difference in quality. One of the things we also have here at the Overkill station, if you will, is the WingFlex FCU, which we'll be doing a comparison video on later on, so you guys will get to see the difference. But there's also a massive price point difference, so we'll talk about that later on. But the switches for your ADF and VOR are the lift gate switches, just like in the real aircraft. So you actually lift them out, put them in a position, drop them in. Once they're in position, they can't be moved. So that makes it very, very nice. I really like the way those feel. And they, again, have a nice solid contact feeling. For those of you who don't know, we've already done a review of the FCU, but you guys will get to see it all in action today. Everything from the barrel knob to the navigation display to the range displays. All of the buttons have a very nice feel to them. They're very quick, very soft touch. Have a nice click to them if you guys like the clicks. I personally would have preferred a more softer touch on these, but that's literally just griping to gripe. So keeping that in mind. But everything else works very, very well. It requires intentional use to manipulate them, but not so much that you have to worry about the device itself moving. And again, even your inches to hectopascals works very well. Flight directors, everything like that. Now, coming to the back side, what's really nice about the way they've done this is you only need the one USB, okay, for power. So we would use this one because it's power and computer, but if you only wanted to provide power, you could do that so here. And then everything else is done through SATA cables. So you have a SATA cable that plugs into the FCU and then joins with the EFIS panel. Notice that there are no further USB required, which means, if I'm not mistaken, the one downside to this is if you only wanted the EFIS panel, I don't think you could do that, as it would require a power source, which SATA by itself would not provide. So that is something to think about, that these are an expansion to this, and the FCU would be required. Okay, but honestly, if you were to buy the EFIS panel and not the FCU, you would be missing out on so much functionality, and you're going to use an FCU far more often than you would use the EFIS panel. So now let's get into the unboxing, and let's clean these screens up. Apparently my fat fingers touched them once or twice, and we will get into the installation and how this all comes together. All right, so now getting into a quick unboxing. There really isn't a whole lot to these, but they were packaged very, very nicely. WinWing always does a great job. They really do focus on their quality. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. You have a bag of tools and everything that is required. Let's actually pull that. There we go. Let's go that route. You have the feet. screwdriver and wrench for attaching it to the FCU, the SATA cable we discussed, the other foot, and the anti-stick feet that go on the bottom of the feet to keep the feet onto the feet. That keeps the feet on the desk because something might be a foot. Anyway, I'm sorry, I had to. I don't know why. I'm in a weird mood today. All right, and so now, the grand master of the show. You can tell I've already opened this one once, and I totally did. Let's grab this. Take that out like so. And voila, there she is. Looking all nice and pretty for her viewers. Absolutely fantastic. And again, the same quality between the two. This one actually might be a little lighter on the touch, but nothing to gripe again. And again, same configuration. So now let's see how they all come together. Because that part, I'll admit, if you have big fingers like me, I mean, there's my hand size. And these are supposed to be 1-to-1 scale. It is a bit on the difficult side because some of these screws are really small. But let's get this put away. We'll worry about the feet in a second. Let's get the hard part done. Just toss that down there for now. And let's take a look at some of this stuff here. So, all right, so let's get into the magic of it all, shall we? So what we're going to do is essentially lock these two together like so. Let me get that more in range. It's kind of weird stretching across the desk like that. I suppose I could point the camera down, but then you guys would get to see my luxurious carpet, and I don't want to make anyone jealous. I'm just kidding. My carpet's fine. But, okay, so we're going to need our screwdriver. Let's get the screwdriver out. And yes, one of these comes with each box, so you'll get 2 wrenches, 2 screwdrivers if you buy the left and right side. Sorry, 3 wrenches. There are 3 in there. Let's get them out first. We're going to need those. Going to need our SATA cable. Let's open up our other bag of goodies. Trick or treat. It's Halloween, right? We'll come close to. All right. These are the guys that make the magic happen. Is these. Come on, camera. Here. There we go. So there it is. This piece goes between the 2 devices, and then we use these 2 screw holes to lock it up, and you guys will see how that all comes into action. There's 2 of those, one for the top, one for the bottom. We're going to need those. Then you're going to notice that there are a grouping of screws. Okay, we need the small ones. There should be 3 of them. There's 1, there's 2, and there's number 3. Now they do not give you extra, so be careful. That's what we need for there, and I think, yep, you can use 1, but there's already 1 in it, so it's totally up to you, but for this purpose sake, I guess we'll pull it out just so it's there. All right, and that's all we need for the way that we are going to configure this today. All right, let's get that locked back down. There we go. All right. So now is where this becomes a pain in the butt a little bit. So what you got to do is we're going to take this screw out and this screw out to start, okay? There's a little nut on the back of it. I don't know why my autofocus isn't working, but it's pissing me off. Let's take a look at it. Autofocus. Continuous. There, hopefully that solves that damn problem because that was driving me nuts. Anyway, did that work? Yeah, it seems to be working. Okay. So we're going to, those nuts, you can usually just hold it with your finger. And take a flathead screwdriver. Yep, and it breaks right free. They're not on there very tight. Remember, guys, you're not holding 1,000 pounds of hardware here. Okay, don't break your stuff. You don't have to over crank it. We're not doing any crazy hardware movements here. Oh, there we go. Sometimes the smaller screwdrivers are actually even harder to use. That was harder to turn than I think a bigger one would have been, which makes sense because you don't have as much leverage and torque to generate. So, okay, so there's those. And so what we're going to do is they're going to come in here like this. And this is where this gets a little tricky, okay, because it gets hard to hold it and mount it at the same time. So what I found after installing the other one is we're going to do one side first. So we're going to put this side in first. And this is where this gets hard if you have big hands like me, but we're going to drop this guy in here. And then where it becomes a pain is the nut. What I recommend doing is take the nut, for those of you with big hands like me, okay, we're going to take the nut. You're going to put it sort of on there with just holding it with your finger, and then let it push the screw back. Like that. I know this might be hard to see, but holding this here, notice it pushed the screw out. Now try to put the screw back in. And it lines up pretty well. And again, just with your finger, hold it. Little tension, doesn't need much. Again, don't break your stuff. Fold that down. And that's it. Okay? And so let's do the same thing with the other side. Wait, nope. What am I doing? I was like, wait a minute, we don't need to take that part off. So we're going to do the same thing here. Remember to make the orientation right. Tab on this one goes up. It's supposed to go between the devices, like that. Okay? And again, same thing. Drop your screw in there. Let's find the nut. Besides the one that's talking. Oh, sorry guys. It's probably annoying as hell when the camera shakes like that. Push it down. I'm just holding it with my finger. And there, I can already feel it coming through the nut. There we go. Cool. God, the innuendos you guys get to have fun with that I just realized that I have said like 4 times. All right, so now we need to do the same thing on the FCU. But now the FCU is different. You only have one here, okay? There's only one here, and then where you would normally mount a leg is back here, right? And that's what the smaller, again, any one of these screws will work. But those are flatheads, so you want the one with the Allen key. Okay? That's what the difference was. They're the same size, but using the one with the Allen key obviously makes more sense. And it's easier to navigate. So, we're going to take this one out. So again, same thing, nothing too fancy. There we go. Screw dropping out. There's that coming out. All right, and so now what we can do, all right, let me arrange this so that way I can get all this in the shot, because it's actually easier on this particular one. Sorry, I hope that's not too loud and drowning out my voice. It's actually easier to install the bottom one because of the Allen key. So let's find our wrench. I think it's this guy right here, the little one. Yep, okay. So let's keep those ready. Do my best to set this up where everybody can see it. And these just lock into place like that. I'm gonna try to hold this, kind of a pain in the ass. Drop that guy in like that. And don't force it. There it goes, it's in there. There. And then now, just like we did before with the other one, take our long one. Again, don't force it. If things aren't where they belong, move it until they are. There you go. And we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to hold it. I'm going to do it from the other side because I am right-handed and it's kind of tricky. Okay, I think we got it. Yep. Cool. There it is. Okay, so now we just take our SATA cable. SATA, for those of you who don't know, only has one direction, so you can see the L shape and the groove. Matches over here. In my opinion, they made the SATA cables a little too long, but that's okay. They could have almost had that perfect, but that's all right. Again, griping to gripe. Got to complain about something, right? All right. Actually, I really don't. This stuff's pretty fantastic. So that's it for these tools. The bigger Allen wrench is for the feet. I'm going to use a much larger Allen wrench because it makes it easier to handle when you are my size. Right? So let me get all this cleaned up and then we'll put the feet on it. All right, as you guys decide to mount your feet, you have 3 different types of screws in there. You have the really long ones, which obviously are not necessary for this, but then you have these ones, which are used to mount from the side, and then you have slightly longer ones, which are designed to go through the back, and that's what we're going to use today. So we're going to pull the little shorties aside, but you have a couple different mounting solutions. Put a washer on them. Helps lock them in place. Goes over top of the SATA cable. I don't recommend tightening them up too much until you are certain they are where you want them. That way you can slide and adjust them. Just get them nice and snug, but don't lock them all the way down. You could probably go with doing a little bit more. All right, so I'm going to put the rest of these on, and then I'll be back with you guys in a minute. All right, so first up here, guys, someone needs to help me get in touch with Monster because I need a sponsor. I think I deserve it. If they had any idea, I guarantee I have purchased someone's house with the number of monsters I've purchased in my life. Speaking of which, this one is really good, the Ultra Strawberry, and no, I'm not being paid for this, clearly. And the green one. It tastes like a green Jolly Rancher. Oh, they're so good. Anyway, let me show you guys what the final configuration was because it got a little weird. Ooh! So I went with a 4-point configuration. And we sort of did, I did 2 on the sides. Okay. You can see they sort of distend a little bit. I'm trying to rotate this without hitting the camera. Okay. But what I found is if you put them all in the back, there's too much forward weight from the FCU and it will drop it forward. So this, it works perfectly. Now I'm just going to put the little rubber feeties on it and we'll get it plugged in, ready to roll. All right, guys, so what we're doing here is I'm walking you guys through the update of the firmware. So the firmware has been updated on part of it, but we need to check the other devices. So we just did the 3.2 left. So what you do essentially is when you launch the software, let me actually do that. Let's start from scratch. So it uses SimApp Pro, which is proprietary software for WinWing. It's their software. There's our devices that we currently have set up. Okay, and we're just going to click on one of them, and it brings us to this. And you can test all the functionality, adjust the lighting, things like that. But we're going to go to firmware update. And we just did the 3.2 right. Okay, and we can sit here and select device. If you have a specific file that you want to import manually, you can do that way. But we're going to go to 3.2 left. It says the hubs and everything like that should be unplugged, but I'm going to be honest, I haven't had any problem with it. Let it run through its process. It's a very simple application, very, very well done, and integrates very well with Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, unfortunately, I have the simulator running in the background before I started this, so I'm probably going to have to restart the sim, but we'll see what happens. And we'll be doing our test today with the fly-by-wire A320. And maybe even take a peek into the Airbus A330 that just released that we're going to be doing a video on today as well. A330, A300. I'll have to look at it. I don't remember what it is now. 330, I think. So we'll let this complete. It's very simple. Everything comes back on. There's the right one coming back. Left one's back. Everything's back. Tested. And then finally, we're going to find the FCU. So there's the FCU, and again, launch it, roll it. All right, and everything's coming back to life now. If we minimize this guy, you guys can see everything's alive. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come back to the main page and go to environment check. And here's the things that are sort of a little different. And this is probably where I'm going to have to launch it again. So give me just a second. We do have the sim running. I just loaded it into the fly-by-wire. But let me try this. I'm going to try first closing the app and relaunching the app. And if that doesn't work, we will have to relaunch the simulator. Because I do believe it's supposed to be app and then the sim. Oh, there it goes. Never mind. Maybe not. We'll see. The device is online. It says we're good to go. Cool. So now I'm going to minimize this. All right, so now let's go through a quick demo. I'm not going to go through a full flight in this video. My goal is to show you guys the functionality of this and how it all works and how seamless it all is. We are going to be doing a full flight today in the A320 though, using my tutorial guide as well. So if you guys want to see the thing in full action, we'll have this cam up then as well. But let's just sort of go through some of this stuff. So first, let's get the electrical power on. Go ahead and, oh, sorry. Got ahead of myself. And as the battery power comes to life, you can see so does the FCU. Or FCP, I should say now. It's the whole shebang. Okay, coming on down. And let's just start playing around with some of this. So let's see, let's get some live weather information. I have no idea what the MEDAR is here today. We are in Tucson. We're going to be flying from Tucson to Los Angeles today. Altimeter is 299.6. So let's throw that in there. There it is, 299.6. Flight directors. Oh, by the way, the sticky feet. I want to talk to you guys a bit quick about that. These are the sticky feet. They work well, but here's the drag. There's a sticky adhesive on both sides, and I'm hoping that wears down because I only put one on the back of each of the feet, so I know you guys can't see. I cut it off pretty bad, but you guys can. There's obviously the feet. I only put one per foot on the back end of them because I knew that I was going to want to move it again. But there's an adhesive on both sides, and that I'm going to tell you right now I don't like, but is what it is. So let's start looking at some of the other stuff here. So let's say we were doing our flight. We've entered in our flight plan, and we wanted to change over to plan. There we go. So here's the point where we would now come down to the MCDU. We'd step through our waypoints, make sure we didn't have any discontinuities. There's our LS navigation. I'm going to leave it on nav for now. And it all works very nice. Your ADF switches. Notice everything's corresponding perfectly. VOR. We always have a VOR. Oh, the Tucson VOR is obviously tuned. I mean, guys, it works so nice. This thing is fantastic. The expedite button. I have the expedite button. They sent me the expedite buttons. I just haven't put it in yet. I was really excited to get this out yet. And you can also notice that because the simulator does it, remember in the sim itself, the barometric pressure will be adjusted on both sides when you adjust one or the other. So keep that in mind. Okay, but again, if we come over here to the pilot side or first officer side, we can set our range accordingly. We can set the range independent depending on which side we're at. There's our NDBs, waypoints in the area. If we want the autopilot obviously engaged, we can't do that yet, but the thousands versus hundreds selection. Your pull and your push and pull functionality work just as they do in the real aircraft. So your managed descent versus open descent or climb, you know, those buttons work. Push for one. I think it's pull for open, push for managed. For those of you who don't know the difference, managed is the computer will manage it. Open means whatever you set it to, whatever altitude you set to, the aircraft will get there basically as fast as it can. Let's see here. Our vertical speed. Okay, and you can still push to level off. Okay. Obviously our heading track. Notice that it changed. Heading mode works perfectly fine. Now I can't set the heading mode as of yet because we don't have any kind of information programmed into it yet. Our LS or ILS capture mode works perfectly fine. Flight directors can be removed individually. So, I mean, guys, it does everything, and it's flawless. It's a seamless integration. It works perfectly fine. Changes from inches to hectopascals if you're flying overseas. The standard. There's QFE. Sorry, gotta go pull. There's pull for standard altimeter. Push for QFE. I mean, it's smooth. I will tell you guys this, though, obviously, there are a lot of differences. You can use other programs such as SPAD.next to integrate this with things like a Boeing aircraft. What I have not figured out if it's even possible, I don't even think it's possible, but is to get the screens to read out. Obviously, it's designed around an Airbus, but remember, WinWing is developing, and we will get a copy of that on here on the channel. They are also developing the Boeing MCP as well, okay? So I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Like I said, I didn't want to do a flight with this particular video. I wanted this to be a show and tell. I wanted you guys to be able to see the results and how I feel about it. Going to a quick form of the negatives that I don't like. It is a little forward heavy, but as you guys can see with the feet, the way I had them, I was able to get it to where it didn't want to come forward. So it really depends on what your mounting options are. There is a bit of a plastic tick that you can feel in the wheels, but I think as long as you're not... So here's my concern, right? But there really shouldn't be any reason why you're doing this, but I'm going to point this out just because of the nature of pointing it out, right? I could see if you were really spinning it and doing this consistently, my concern would be maybe you'd get a break in the tabs in there, but I'm not sure. I mean, even that didn't feel bad. It's just, I guess it's very audible, right? It's very audible. I was like, why is that going above 360? And then it dawned on me that was the speed. But also your speed versus Mach, right? Everything works exactly as it should. But that's really all I got. Here's what I'm going to tell you guys. Oh, and I guess it's a con, but again, from my standpoint, I don't know why you would get one without the other. But remember that in order, if you want the EFIS, you have to get the FCU because the EFIS plugs into the FCU, and the FCU is what connects to the computer. So that's kind of a requirement the way they design. But again, I don't really see that as a con because I don't know why you would want one without the other. And that's just my personal opinion. Maybe you built your own FCP. I don't know, but for me, it makes perfect sense that they would require them, and it absolutely limits the necessity for more USB hubs, 400 USB cables going from one device to your computer. So it is significantly better in that aspect. So I'm very, very happy. I think WinWing has done a great job. I think they're going to take the commercial market and general aviation market as soon as hopefully they get into that. If they get into that, they're going to take it by storm. I really do. And it's nice to see the competition, and the price point is fantastic. I'm going to leave a link to everything down in the description below, you guys. Keep in mind the EFIS panels are now on pre-order, so you want to get them. They're great. It's really, especially if you're a diehard Airbus fan. If you're an Airbus fan, especially, this is the price you just can't beat. And keep in mind, they're also developing the MCDU. For those of you who may not be aware, this is the MCDU. So they've got the MCDU coming for Airbus, and they have all of the same stuff coming for Boeing as well. Remember that they already have an Airbus Sidekick flight stick. So if you guys want to have the Airbus flight stick, which we're going to be reviewing somebody else who's developed one, which is pretty cool. It's really not ridiculously expensive to develop a full Airbus cockpit nowadays. It's really not. It's actually kind of impressive how not impossible it is. They've really come a very long way. Oh, what the hell did I just do? They've really come a very long way in a short period of time. as far as taking into the non-combat market. But between the FCP, the MCDU, their Sidekick stick, or the FCP, yeah, that. They've made it very, very reachable to make a full Airbus, you know, the essentials, the Airbus essentials, without breaking the bank, guys. Again, go to their website, guys. The price, I promise, is going to blow you away. And we're going to be doing a comparison of another one of these devices by WingFlex. There's some significant differences into the way they are built. There are some significant differences into the way they operate. But there is a massive difference in price. So I'm going to let you guys decide what's going to be the difference. Again, we have that WingFlex Airbus FCP here already. You guys are going to get to see it. We're going to do a review of it, and then we're going to do a side-by-side comparison in another video after that. And you guys are going to get to decide how much the price is really worth, and you guys are going to get to see how big of a difference there is between the price of WinWing and some of the more high-end developers. As always, folks, stay safe and healthy, and I will catch you guys in the next one. A big shout out to WinWing. Congratulations on another amazing release, and look forward to seeing what you guys come up with next.